Step 2 of the Pathways assessment process is to select student work. Now that you know the Pathways concepts and outcomes that are addressed in your course, you will need to decide which pieces of student work you will assess. As a reminder, we are going to go to the Pathways website, click on the Assessment tab, and then scroll down to Step 2. Ideally, steps 1 and 2 of the Pathways assessment process will be completed by instructors prior to the beginning of the semester. Advanced planning will not only help ensure that the student work you assign and assess aligns with the Pathways student learning outcomes addressed in your course, it will save you time at the end of the semester. You should select the type of student work that best fits with your course and your assessment plans. Several examples of student work that Pathways instructors have utilized for Pathways assessment are papers, projects, presentations, quizzes, and multiple choice items on exams. But virtually any type of student work that aligns with a Pathways student learning outcome may be used. Additional information relating to selecting student work is provided in the FAQs document, which is linked here in Step 2 and also in the General Resources sidebar. You may find it helpful to review the Pathways rubrics prior to selecting student work for Pathways assessment. These are also located in Step 2 and in the General Resources sidebar, up at the very top. So now we're going to click on the rubrics. They'll open up in Microsoft Word, and there are 9 different rubrics, one for each Pathways concept. If you enable editing for the rubrics, you can tweak them to better fit your course. The Pathways rubrics were created by Virginia Tech faculty who typically teach general education courses. These rubrics were intentionally created to be broad so that they can be applied to a wide variety of courses and disciplines. Okay, now we're going to go back to Step 2 on the website. Okay. One key aspect of Pathways assessment is that each Pathways student learning outcome needs to be assessed independently. For example, rather than rating student performance for an entire Pathways concept such as discourse, instructors teaching courses that address the discourse concept will need to rate student performance for discourse student learning outcome 1 separately from discourse student learning outcome 2, discourse student learning outcome 3, etc. The Pathways rubrics include specific criteria for each individual Pathways student learning outcome to help you assess each outcome independently. However, even though each Pathways student learning outcome should be assessed independently, a single piece of student work can be used to measure multiple Pathways concepts and/or student learning outcomes if appropriate. For example, a final exam, paper, or presentation may align with multiple Pathways student learning outcomes. Several different examples of student work are provided in the Example Pathways Assessment Reporting Form, which we looked at in previous steps, and we'll go back to now. For Step 2, we are mostly concerned with the Assessment Measure column and the one next to it that asks the instructor to provide more detail about the student work selected. Here in the Reasoning and the Natural Sciences tab, we see that this instructor has assessed student learning outcomes 1, 2, and 3 in accordance with the official course proposal. We also see that the instructor has opted to use one piece of student work, her final exam, to assess all 3 different student learning outcomes. For student learning outcomes 1 and 2, different sets of multiple choice items are used. There were 9 multiple choice items for student learning outcome 1, and then 7 different multiple choice items for student learning outcome 2. And for student learning outcome 3, 2 short answer questions were assessed. And the blank Pathways Assessment reporting form that you will use to enter and report your Pathways Assessment data, the Assessment Measure column has a drop-down menu for each student learning outcome. In the column to the right of the Assessment Measure column, instructors are asked to provide more detail about the specific piece of student work they selected. Now if we go to the Ethical Reasoning tab, we can see two other examples of student work that the instructor used. In this tab, we see the instructor selected two different assignments to assess her students' ethical reasoning skills. For Student Learning Outcome 2, the instructor assessed each student's final oral presentation, and for Student Learning Outcome 3, the instructor assessed a case study project. Once you have selected student work for each of the Pathways student learning outcomes addressed in your course, Step 2 is complete.